Identifying Revenue Leakages and How to Stop It by Mr. Prashant Gupta, CEO and co-founder at Firmway. Mr. Prashant is a chartered accountant by qualification but an entrepreneur by passion. He comes with 8 years of experience in combined domain. Before starting Firmway, he worked with NVC handling statutory audits, internal audits and taxation of large listed companies. He has also worked in investment banks before starting Firmway. He is a subject matter expert in business process automation and he has spent years of developing dozens of use cases. Everybody, can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Prashant Gupta?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the welcome. And it was really, I guess, we are having great sessions today. And Sanjeev ji has given us so many thoughts to think upon that way. So with this, I'll like to move ahead in terms of our presentation. So basically, the entire concept which we are targeting right now is in terms of revenue leakages. So it's a known fact for a company. So there was a recent survey done by EY where it is expected that around 1 to 5% of the EBITDA is generally lost by companies in revenue leakages. And these leakages could be in terms of multiple scenarios, like where say on the customer side, where there are deductions done by customers which we are not aware of, right? And as an accounts team, we do not account for. Because of that, the collection cycle increases drastically, where people are not paying on time because of some differences which are there in their balances, and the entire amount is kept on hold till the time it is completely reconciled. Then definitely it leads to bad debts and write-off. So what Sanjeev ji mentioned is an ideal scenario where we cannot have any bad debts in an organization. So that is something which is which we can see as an achievable goal, definitely. Then there are tax differences which the accounts team struggles with, where you have GST, TDS, whether the customer is giving you the credits, vendor are giving you the credits or not, and endlessly following up with these parties for giving you the credits and all. Unaccounted vendor invoices is a big problem again in the industries, where there are invoices which are there already in our system, but it is not accounted by the accounts team because it has not reached to them. So 30 days, 60 days, 90 days kind of a delay is something which is not, we are not completely new to. Duplicate payments, again, where a single invoice is processed twice or booked twice due to some gaps, etc., or maybe reprocessing and all. And internal frauds, again, at a scale when you grow to a large scale company, definitely there are chances which can impact your revenue leakages. So these are just some of the top, say you can say tip of the iceberg kind of a thing, where you have a huge set of challenges. And if you see most of that is definitely where finance team, the CFO can put a control to. So that is where our entire session for today would be. If the solution, if we were to talk to majority of these problem, is very simple, is reconciliations. So one thing also I like to share is that what Sanjeev ji mentioned in his entire speech, he mentioned reconciliation word more than 8 to 10 times, right? So that is the kind of impact right now which the industry has, the reconciliation has, and why is it important? Why always as a CFO you come across this aspect of it, and why is it a challenge? So definitely monthly reconciliation is the solution. If you are able to tally your balances with your customers, vendors on month end, that is something which can definitely help you curtail this. But why this is not something very new concept to us, it's been there since ages. What is the real challenge? Why companies are not able to do reconciliation on a month basis with all their customers and vendors? So these are couple of challenges which we foresee in terms of the entire process of reconciliation, and you will definitely be aware of this. Somewhere in your journey you would have passed through this. The most difficult challenge is that you do not get a response from the parties. So parties are not sharing their ledgers with you. So it is estimated as per the industry standard only 20 to 30% parties generally share the ledgers while you ask them for a ledger request. The second is the SOAs which comes, because since there are so many accounting softwares across India, across the world, there are chances that these SOAs would be from different formats. Some would be using Tally, SAP, Oracle, Navision, Zoho, QuickBooks, etc. So every accounting software will have a different format of ledger. Also specifically, the accounting practices of using doc types is also different. Like in SAP, you have 100 plus doc types already available. Different companies use different. So for the person who is then doing the reconciliation, the major headache for him is to identify how the other company has done the accounting and how is he doing using the doc types and how he has to do. And generally, these are entry level people. So for them, this becomes a very difficult activity. Again, the third major problem is it takes almost 8 hours to do one single reconciliation. Definitely depends upon the size of reconciliation, etc. So these are the couple of challenges. Then the most important part, this activity is very boring, right? So like we have been hearing in today's session, that how people who are coming, the new age people who are coming, who want to be more tech savvy rather than process oriented, where they don't want to go into doing reconciliations on Excel, doing the VLOOKUPs and everything. But so definitely if you make them do that, it will be 6 months, 9 months, 12 months before they try to change their career or look for a role change, right? So definitely you are not going to get a stability in this field. Does not lead to conclusion. So it's such a big activity where, say, you have done a reconciliation is not only the only purpose. After that, getting it to a conclusion, getting a sign off from a party, getting your team to do an action is the biggest challenge, where even if you do a RECO, we lose a track, and till the time it reaches to the last time, we are all fed up with the process, and only in few cases the reconciliation actually finally sees a sign off. So definitely you see the entire process is so human dependent, is because that is where it fails, and it is dependent on the definitely the accounts team, which is always bound by timelines, due dates, right? There is sometime every month there is a GST due dates, TDS due dates, the closures, LRs, month end, quarter end. So definitely reconciliation does not take up the required attention, and it definitely impacts. So if we see from that perspective, the traditional solution, if we were to follow of, say, if you are dealing with more than 3,000 parties, it easily takes 2 Mondays per party to reconcile an account, right? Directly from reaching out to these parties, endlessly following up for a ledger, collecting the ledger, then identifying the format, identifying the accounting done by that vendor, then doing a reconciliation on Excel, identifying the differences, then reaching out to your business team that what is the action, why these invoices are not accounted, what are the challenges, and then again reaching out to the vendor or customer for a sign off. Easily it will take at least 2 Mondays. So if you deal with 3,000 parties, and if you decide to do it once a year, you will end up spending 6,000 Mondays on that activity, which is equivalent to 24 full-time finance employees, which is at a minimum cost, just a salary cost of 1.5 crores. So definitely that is the entire perspective why CFOs don't do or reconciliation with all their parties on a monthly and quarterly basis. They definitely have to then pick up the top sample, 80% value being covered by 20% parties, and only concentrate to that, because that is where it is possible, because the kind of benefit you will save and the kind of cost you can incur would be almost the same. So the cost benefit analysis does not fit in. But this is where the technology has changed that completely. So this process becomes definitely unviable. So just a quick question for the audience, like how many of you feel that reconciliation can someday become completely touchless, that without human intervention, you should be getting that every day a report should come to you that today 30 reconciliations have been done, these are the challenges. Tomorrow 40 reconciliations have been done, and these are the exceptions, these are the issues where has been highlighted. So that is where that kind of an automation from sending, collecting, then reconciling, understanding the party ledgers, different formats, and finally giving an output. So if you can just show off and hands, how many of you feel the reconciliation can be a touchless process someday? Okay. So I guess almost 10-15% of people feel that. So definitely I guess that's a very good approach towards technology, because what we have always been hearing is that it is a very complicated process. It is not very simple. Our vendors are unstructured. The kind of accounting they do is different. They are doing at a, say, at a manual level, they are doing things, they are not following the right practices. So having a complete and accurate output is next to impossible. So many of 90% of our people are thinking in that perspective. So just so I like to share that it's already done. It has been achieved that reconciliation can be completely touchless. You can get a, say, the way you get a mail in morning, you can get that these are the differences in your parties without spending a single minute on it. So how we have done is just a 30 seconds video is I like to play that. So if you see this, it has been completely automated in a sense that current ERP which you are using, say whether it be SAP, Oracle, Navision, Tally, etc., the solution would basically integrate with your parties. You can divide it into, say, these are my A category parties, B category parties. You can schedule it on a month basis, quarterly basis. Automatically at the month and after 7 days, it will pick up the list of parties, their ledgers, balances, roll out a communication to all those parties on emails and SMSs. It will escalate it will automatically keep on following up with the parties till the time they respond. It will escalate the matter to the senior person on the vendor side, customer side. If they are not responding, it automatically, the fourth reminder will involve your business team that the sales manager or the purchase manager, this vendor is not responding. The party will get an email with a single sign-on link. No more they have to remember the ID password as a vendor portal. They click on that link, they see the balance as per your company, and they have two options, agree or disagree. If they disagree, they write their balance, they attach their ledger copy. That is how we collect the data from the party without a single manual intervention. Once the data is submitted, automatically it fetches your ledger from SAP, your GRN, your invoice tracker, etc., all the data sets which are required. It will give you an instant analysis that these are the entries which your customer has not booked, your invoice is not booked by them, or these are the debit note raised by the customer not booked by you, or these are the TDS of vendor who has not accounted your TDS which you have deducted. So that is the kind of the technology can achieve, and we have used AI in this. So the kind of RICO we do on Excel versus the kind of output we are seeing here, it is reaching to 90, 95, 98% kind of a matches directly without human intervention. Even if your invoice numbers are different, dates are different, amount are different, TDS are deducted, all those challenges has been beautifully taken care by. So definitely looks very good in theory, but we would like to show you how the case studies, few case studies which we have seen over our journey of 7 years. So the first case study is where we, for India's largest consumer durable company, they were struggling for reconciliations, vendor reconciliations. So somewhere they were able to do 50 reconciliations a year, right? So that was where they had around 3,000 parties. They were only able to do only 50 reconciliations. They tried a lot of things doing this RICO. They hired a team of 3 people, 4 people who were dedicatedly doing this reconciliations. Then they hired, trained people, RICO experts from external companies where they give such people directly. So they tried that also, but the scale they were able to reach was only 50 reconciliations a year. When we were able to implement this solution, we were able to achieve 500 reconciliations in a period of 9 months. So that is the kind of scale we were able to achieve for them. In terms of purchase value, where they had around 4,000 crores of purchases, 2,289 crores were able to reconcile successfully, which was 56%. So in the first 9 months itself, this is something which they were able to achieve. with a limited team of 1 people and the solution. So that is what the kind of power we are looking at. In terms of the benefits, so we were able to help them with a benefit of more than 20 crores. So wherein if say 33 lakh worth rupees duplicate invoices were identified in their system, which were about to be processed or were processed in past when doing these reconciliation. Another, there were 130 lakhs or 1.3 crores of credit note which was issued by the vendor where he has already written off. It was showing as outstanding in our current books. There was around 30 crores. This is also one big amount where it was invoices were received but was not yet accounted. So definitely there are GST credits which the company has missed for taking 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and definitely that is the kind of impact you can see almost on the GST amount. Another, there was 73 lakhs invoices which were not received by the company as per their records, right? And vendors were saying that as an outstanding. So again, these are big amounts where even if you 1 month, 2 months you delay your GST credits taking that, it is like you are say your working capital is increasing. That is how you can definitely control your working capital. If you are able to identify this on a monthly basis, you will be able to say curtail this to a great extent. So these were the financial impact which we saw. These were the operational impact. So 43 lakhs payment were made by the company, but vendor didn't recorded it because maybe the payment advice was not sent to the vendor, or maybe he was not aware, or he has not, it is lying in his suspense. 39 lakhs was rupees TDS which was deducted, but vendor has not accounted for them. So these were the few the kind of a benefits they realized once they were able to cover their 50% of the value, and that is where we were able to see a big success. Another small case study we have is of a adhesive company, a chemical company with more than 8,000 crores of turnover. So the challenge for them is the vendors were not responding to them, the customers were not responding. The response rate they were getting was around 1%, 2% kind of a number where they were sending to say 1,000 parties. So a comparison where they were channelizing more than, they had 1,000 parties where they wanted to do this process, the number of parties were actually definitely higher, but 1,000 parties is where they see that as a top parties. The earlier it used to take them 90 days. They used to bulk mail. They were SAP where Dunning system mails were going. But what happens is when you send a mass emails to say 1,000, 2,000 parties, there is a high chances that it lands into the spam of the other party. So the kind of response rate they used to wait for 90 days to get this process. We were able to fast track that to 15 days. The kind of response rate they were getting was around 2%, which we were able to increase to 53% without any manual intervention. Just because of rigorous follow-ups, escalations, messages, people are not active on emails, SMSs and all impacted this kind of a response rate. The ledger collected were almost 2, which they were able to collect in the previous year when they did this process, where in the current system they were able to collect 290 ledgers for reconciliation purpose, and 0 reconciliation happened last time, and this time they were able to reconcile 290 ledgers. So that is the kind of impact we were able to see, a drastic impact where the technology was able to really help the company. Another case was for a logistic company. Due to lack of time, I'll just skip this part, but it is that where we did this reconciliation, 75% of the cases TDS was not accounted by the customer. This was on the customer side of it. In 41% cases, the invoices were not booked by the customer. So that is also a big amount where companies is thinking that this money would be coming in this month, next month, and the customer is not yet accounted those invoices. Maybe they have the invoice have not reached to the accounts team of the other party. Being that reason, they have not yet accounted that. So similarly, debit note raised by customer, 38% cases, the company didn't recorded that, these debit notes. Again, you were thinking that these payments would come in, but these are actual deductions which are made by the customer, which it is never going to come. So these were the challenges. Last case study which we have is for say identifying the MSME status of the vendor. Now with 43B, it has become very important that if you don't pay before 31st of March to the vendors, it will be disallowed by the tax auditors. So there was a chemical company again where they had 5,000 plus, they had 20,000 vendors for which we did this process, and they had 1,000 vendors flagged as MSME. So when we implemented this solution, we were able to identify more 5,000 vendors MSME from their current database. So that is the kind of, because what happens, the company was sending again mass mailers to them, and the proper follow-ups were not maintained. These mails were going, they were using some kind of a mass mailing tool and all, and it was landing in the spam, mostly in the spam of the parties. So again, the response rate was very, very less, and so the average response rate which we got was around 70%. So out of 20,000, we were able to say receive around 16,000 responses from the vendors, whether they are MSME or not. The second impact was that more than 5,000 plus new vendors were identified as MSME for them. Lastly, around 18, so another, this is a big challenge because your vendors would be sharing you old certificates, right, where they are still MSME. But as per the latest database, the government is now auto-updating their MSME status on the based on their income tax return and GST return. So that is where we were able to find 18% deviation, what they were used to, what they said versus what the government status holds at. So these are the few, definitely the benefits. We saved them from 43B disallowance, we saved them the interest cost, and definitely the ROC and CARO compliances. So that is broadly what we have been able to achieve for them. So these are practical use cases, because theoretically we'll be able to share a lot of things, but practically how much impact is creating is something which is notable. So lastly, this is about us. Basically, we are a team of chartered accountants who started this journey back in 2016. And for last 7 years, we have built multiple use cases in terms of balance confirmations, ledger reconciliations with customers, vendors, tax reconciliation with 26 years, GST, identifying multiple like MSME status or struck off status of your companies. So wherever you deal with customers and vendors, data, your dealings as an accounts team with them is something which we have completely automated, so which can unlock a kind of a profitability growth for a company, and where the CFO can add a lot of value to the table that way. So this is it about. Thanks everyone for your patient listening. Would be glad if there is any question to ask. Yes, sir. If someone can give the mic.
Can we have a mic over there, please? In the corner. The mic is on the way, sir.
See, whatever you were saying, these are real issues, right? Vendor reconciliation is a big time issue. I have SAP in my company, but things happen manually. 4-5 reasons. The invoice doesn't reach us, the finance department. Maybe the vendor has not issued to us so far, but they have reflected in GST portal. Maybe user department has not confirmed it, because there's a quality issue, there's some delivery issue, something is there. The data, the statement of account comes in various formats. It can be in PDF, it can be in mail body itself, it can be in Excel, it can be Excel itself in different formats. So while all the data presentation were impressive, it will be more impressive if you say exactly how your system does it. Okay. Because saying that we did 50,000 reconciliation, etc., but how it was done, because the formats are so different. All the GST issue, WT, withhold tax issue, everything is there.
Right.
But how it is solved is where it will be more impressive.
Okay. So I like to definitely share just a few things which I can share verbally. Maybe the actual thing you'll be able to understand more once you see practically how the solution works. But what we have used is we have created a smart ledger reader. So that is the biggest challenge. Whether the vendor is using PDF, sharing Excels, etc., the kind of format they are using, whether it could be from Tally, SAP, Oracle, etc. The doc types are so many different, people use different things differently. How the system can do that? So we have used machine learning in that, and all the accounting software formats which are there, so more than 100 plus accounting softwares being used by the companies, is already saved. All the doc types of these accounting software is saved. So when a vendor uploads the data, automatically it reads that, okay, this is what your ledger says, these are what your opening balance, this is your payments, these are the receipts, this is what we understand. Do you agree to this, or you want to change anything, or you want to skip this? So that is the way we understand from the party itself that what is the understanding by them. So instead of we breaking our heads and finding the way they account for, this is something which, and then we have wherein they can basically give the details on the screen and they can submit it, or maybe they skip and then your team or our team can do it for you. Another aspect is where say the system use AI to do these matches. So even if your invoice numbers are not matching, like I said, there are dots, special characters, only half you have written, or there are 2 columns, or in narration somewhere you have referred that this invoice is this, etc. So that is all system can be taken care of. Narrations, clearing, document numbers, etc. Another aspect of it is basically where say you can use where the system can automatically understand these different formats and will be able to do reconciliation. For TDS, GST, what we have, you can save, say in SAP Master you already have for this customer or vendor, what is the TDS rate? Is it 0.1%, 1%, 2%, 10%? It will pick up these rates. So if there is a difference of amount of say 10 rupees, it knows that okay, TDS rate for this vendor or customer is 10%. It will automatically classify it as TDS booked by customer or TDS booked by us for the vendor. So those analytics is already built, whether it is GST, TDS, etc. So maybe once we have a stall over here, maybe you can have a further detailed discussion with the team over there to how it actually works.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Prashant Gupta.
Okay.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, see, the thing is that in my organization, we have implemented SAP Business One, right? And monthly, we are having more than 50 to 60 CR of purchases. Which is a mixture of SME and non-SME. First of all, the challenge which we are facing is that in most of the cases, we do not get the certificate of SME, which we subsequently, may or may not get. But as you know that, for SME, it has to be 250 CR plus.
Right.
And number two is that how to, face this challenge, because is bill discounting could be a way for handling this issue. And one of the bigger challenges is that how to adjust the cost, because for bill discounting there is definitely a cost attached to it, and how to take care of that cost.
Right.
Yeah.
So because definitely if you go to those, either the cost will go to your vendors or definitely the cost would be there. So the best way to handle that is definitely having the complete audit trail and say helping to collect the vendors MSME certificates. There are technology where through PAN numbers also sometime soon this would be available. Right now that thing is available, but that is based on PAN you can identify whether the vendor is MSME or not. But again, in those cases, that is not foolproof. So only scenario which available is right now is to collect these certificates or maybe a declaration yes or no.
But you have just mentioned in your presentation that government has recently made some changes by which, we can get it online. But we have not,
So
got it
that
as
is
on
based
date.
on Udhyam numbers. So if you have the Udhyam number, you will be able to collect their latest status. So once you collect a Udhyam number from a vendor, then for lifetime you can know their latest status from the government database. But for collecting that Udhyam number, first that activity needs to be conducted where you reach out to the vendors and collect the data from them. So for that we have built this technology where about 70-80% response rate we are able to collect from the vendors.
Because in our case, this 43B has become a big challenge.
Okay.
And in this recent union budget also, 43B has been implemented.
Right.
This February 23 I'm talking of.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So definitely we'll be able to say connect with you later on and take that.
And I'm asking for that bill discounting, how to go about it.
Okay, so definitely those, so we don't provide that solution, but definitely there are players which can do that. So where you can, for every invoice, you can have partners which can discount that. But again, it is dependent on vendors whether they want that facility or not, because it will be a cost to them specifically. Right.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Prashant Gupta, for such a wonderful session. Everybody, can we have a big round of applause?
Thank you.
Requesting you to please be with us on the stage for the felicitation. And I would like to call upon stage Mr. Hemant Kumar Ruiya, CFO at DP World, to please be on the stage and felicitate Mr. Prashant Gupta. Everybody, can we have a big round of applause?